We live in very, very interesting times, as they say, and I'll keep this one relatively short compared to my first real voyage, if you will, into the shady and sort of undercurrent of UK politics. But this one is, I think, is a bit more interesting because there's a lot more intrigue and a lot more questions within the system. Now, what's happened is that the Liberal Democrats, which is a political party here in the UK, is that they've raised a complaint to Ofcom, which basically regulates pretty much all of British-made television, including things that we buy from like America and elsewhere in the world, and they've complained to Ofcom, and the complaint is because of so what's happened is that this previous Wednesday, there's a routine that goes on in Parliament called Prime Minister's Questions, and it's where all members of all major political parties here in the UK actually get together in the House of Commons, and they basically have to discuss, argue, persuade, from those in power to the opposition, and from every other party. It could be from Reform, it could be from the SNP, the Scottish National Party, from the Green Party, from Pablia Cum, the very popular party in Wales. What I'm trying to get across is that it should be open and everybody should be allowed to have their say when it comes to stuff like that. Now, of late, what's happened is that French President Macron has actually visited the UK in the last couple of days, and his this deal in which we're meant to be deporting 50 migrants back to France, and what's happened is that the BBC have allowed to broadcast Nigel Farage, current leader of the Reform Party. They were more than happy to showcase him asking questions, criticising the government's plan about this deportation plan back to France, and they apparently never asked the Liberal Democrats for their opinions or for their leader Ed Davey to stand and to criticise and to make points in favour of his party, as no doubt it absolutely should be. Now, the argument that goes on in a discussion of this is the aspect of impartiality, and that what I believe the Liberal Democrats are actually upset about is the fact that they've not been allowed to either have their say broadcasted, or they have had their say, or they've never been asked at all. I'm pretty sure it's more towards the BBC for not broadcasting the opinions of Ed Davey and the Liberal Democrats, but they've been more than happy to put Nigel Farage in the spotlight. To make matters worse, or a little bit more confusing, is that currently Reform has 4 MPs in their party. Do you want to have a guess how many MPs are currently with the Liberal Democrats? I'll give you about 5 seconds to guess, because you won't actually believe the number. Might actually surprise you. They have 72 MPs, and that, I'm pretty sure, is the threshold for actually the third largest party for MPs currently in this country. So what we have is a political party that has 18 times as many MPs compared to one other party, but they've allowed that one other party to have their opinions broadcasted. They've allowed that to happen at the expense of somebody else. Now, it wouldn't matter, in my opinion, if it was the Liberal Democrats. It could be the Green Party. It could be this party that Jeremy Corbyn is starting. It could be the SNP, as far as we're concerned. The point is that because they've allowed that to happen, the Liberal Democrats are taking the fight to the BBC, because they're going to be they'll be in the bracket of, hang on a second, why aren't we allowing our opinions to be showcased to the country? And I don't know about you, but that's a critical moment, because I would say in the question of Nigel Farage, truthfully, I don't believe for 1 second they're getting in. I really, really don't. I don't care about what people say in terms of the weight behind them. Because I've said it before yesterday. The only thing they have got opinions on, no real solution, is the issue of migration. Because outside of that, they have literally no answer to anything else. And I'm not joking about that. You just need to read that manifesto. It doesn't improve anything. It just takes things away. And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, I've got relatives who work for Durham City Council, one that Reform actually have a sort of base of operations, and the stories I've heard about what goes on inside, they run it like a dictatorship. They run it as though any civil liberties are squashed, and and they say, you know what, if you want to bring those in, then start looking for a new job, because we will fire you. That's the kind of opinions and policies they are willing to allow to be broadcasted. They're willing to set all of those in motion, but they won't even do it for the Liberal. We won't even hear what they've got to say. Now, listen, I'm not necessarily I don't know too much about the Liberal Democrats, but then again, I know also a man called Nick Clegg, and to be honest, that just about says it all. I think it's been well over 15 years since Nick Clegg decided to have a little bit of a hideous rendezvous with David Cameron. I think those days are long gone, and I'm pretty sure Nick Clegg is also long gone, or at least he's not going to get back into the public spot. If he suddenly made a comeback and joined the Liberal Democrats, absolutely no way, because people aren't going to let them forget about everything Clegg said he would do, and he would push for an agenda, and it absolutely fell apart, and he didn't seem that bothered about it. Yeah, if there's one thing I will say going against the Liberal Democrats, is that, well, set yourself apart from the failures that have come before, because honestly, get as far away from guys like Nick Clegg as possible, and you might actually be onto something. I don't know that much about Ed Davey, but you know what? Good for him for taking this fight, and good for him for going to Ofcom, because you know what? Yeah, I'd say go for it. That's what I want to do. So, not just in terms of like taking on groups of people, not only taking on single individuals, but actually taking on establishments head on. And that's the way you win these sorts of fights. You go head on and you actually fight your fight. You don't just say you're going to do it and then you do nothing about it whatsoever, and you walk around as though it's not important. Does that sound familiar? Well, just in case, I will leave you with that, and I'll see you guys again next time. Thank you.